Okay, we're back, and it's COMP1011, Advanced Object-Oriented Programming with Java and Android later on. And it's lesson 1, week 1, part 2. Okay, so again, you have some options for Java. I'm personally going to be using, sorry, wrong one, Eclipse, right? Now the version of Eclipse that I'm using, I believe, is Luna, right? So if you don't have Eclipse, who doesn't have Eclipse installed? Okay, if you don't have Eclipse installed, now's the time, right? The system in front of you should have an Eclipse version that's installed. Not sure if it will be Luna. It might be another version of Eclipse when you launch it. So I'd like you to launch it. Is it Luna? Good. If it's Luna, we're on the same page. When you get here, it's going to ask you, hey, where do you want to put your workspace? Now, for now, you can leave it as a default. And I'm just refreshing. I'm assuming that you've never used Eclipse before. Okay? There's a reason for this. You probably have used Eclipse before, but you haven't used it my way, right? So we're going to assume that you've never used it before, and that's why I'm putting it up there like this. Let me see if I can dim a little bit. Okay. This gives you a little bit. What's that?
I already give directory to my folder to save the files.
That's good. Excellent. So here we have a workspace. We're going to put it up here. And if you notice, when we get into Eclipse, guess what I'm going to ask you to do? If you're using the computer in front of you, right, and it's a computer from the school, it's something you can install, but that'll be wiped away afterwards, right? But if you're using the machine that's your personal machine, my recommendation is you download a plugin called E-Git. And why? Because they're going to use GitHub, right? So I'm gonna drown you guys with GitHub. That's good. Now you're gonna bring it next time, right? So where do you get this E-Git thing anyway, right? Well, you got to go to this. It's a nice plugin for Eclipse, even with Luna. If I type in E-Git on Google, it'll take me to E-Git for Eclipse as a plugin. Okay, and what it is basically it allows a connection with the Eclipse version in front of you with something that allows you to connect with Git. So it's really important to get this done here right off the top, or the beginning, because most of you by now should have Git. And we're going to go over, for those people, there's a couple people, I think, who wasn't here? I think a couple people were not here in this morning's class, right? Yeah. So we're going to have to go over again for people who weren't here, how to sign up for Git and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, now you guys are in my first class or no? You? Ta 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 ta. So you missed out on your extra mark too. Although if you're quick and you submit now, I'll allow it. How about that? So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to download. Click this download button. It's going to take you here to eclipse.org. And if you notice, it gives you this this link right here, HTTP download Eclipse E-Git updates. You don't click on this link. Okay, you grab it, you copy this link address, right? And when you do that, you go back into Eclipse, right? And inside Eclipse, you hit Help. Now I'm using the Mac version, but the PC version is very similar. You're going to go to Help, and you're going to go to Install New Software. All right? Let me know if I need to slow down for some people who don't have this on their system. You guys there?
I'm having some sort of problem with my Eclipse. I'm not really sure.
On your system there? It won't run?
Yeah,
What the hell's happening? It feels like a bunch of people are moving their seats around.
it just pops up.
Okay. No. It's probably something a configuration issue. Switch to another computer. See if the other one does the same thing.
I can try that.
So you click on Install New Software, right? And inside here, you actually copy the link location, right? So here's the link location, right? And then what you want to do, and I've already done this, but what you want to do is click Add. It's going to ask you, by the way, the link location will stay here like this. It will actually be in here like this. And you actually can name the repository you're getting the software from. And here you just put in E-Git, right? And press OK. Right? Now I'm not going to press OK because I already have it. What you do is you select these two things, you want Eclipse, E-Git Team Provider, and JGit. And once you've done that, it's going to give you a chance to move forward by pressing next. Sorry? If you don't have it, it's okay. It's going to give you, it'll give you at least the Eclipse Git Team Provider. Right? JGit is what I see. The reason why you don't see it is because you've got a different system. Yeah.
When I just copy and paste that link, it shows me it's not a valid software site location.
Okay. Well, I'll come right back to you in a second. Okay. We'll come around and we'll install it after again. Okay. So after you've installed Git, right? So again, all I did was this, just to recap: help, install new software, and I went to my link here, which is under eclipse.org E-Git download, right? I copy this thing here, right? Copy it, and then it says, or I could also do this. I can also put this Luna site here as well. I'm not gonna use this one. This one's the better one. And then after I do that, I'm going to take this link and go back into Eclipse and just pump it in here. And when I do that, right, I have to click Add, like I said before, and then in here it'll be actually this link. It won't look like how this looks, because the reason why it doesn't say this for me is because I've already added it. And then you just put E-Git in here to add this as part of your repository, your software repository, and then you press OK. When you do, you'll see these two links, and then from there you click both of these and press Next. Okay, once this is all installed, you follow the prompts. When you follow the prompts, it'll ask you to accept the agreement, and when you do, right, it'll take you back to your view. Now this is what you should see from your perspective, right? So you've got Git. We're not going to install the Android SDK piece for now, right? That's a larger install that's going to take a little bit more time. We'll do that in the second half. However, if you're really ambitious, right, and you want to get your Android SDK installed early, you can do that. So it's called the Android ADT for Eclipse. That's another thing you have to install. So let's say if I was going to do Android today, I would go Android ADT for Eclipse, right? And if you do that, it'll take you to the ADT plugin release notes from Android. And if you notice, when you skip down here, it'll tell you what the latest release is, 23.04, October of 2014, right? That's the release notes. But you want to actually download and install the ADT, right? There's two ways to do it. You can do it through Android Studio, which they're working on, and it's not bad, but I still recommend that Android for Eclipse works a little smoother than Android Studio at this time, the time of us doing this course together. Maybe in another 6 months, again, thinking about what we talked about earlier today, it'll be more robust, and I'd be happy telling you that Android Studio is the way to go. But as of today, I still recommend that we use Android for Eclipse. So again, it says that you can actually use Android Studio, and it talks about all kinds of wonderful things and how it works and all that kind of stuff, and it definitely will work, but we're not going to use this version. We need to use the plugin, and I'm going to go back a couple steps here. The ADT plugin for Eclipse, which is this one. And it's going to tell you how to do that, right? It's going to tell you to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go to the repository, add this one in, and we install it that way. But this is just the plugin for Eclipse. You also need to include the Android SDK, which is something we're not going to be talking about today. Again, it's like a 4 gig download to download all of it. It's pretty large, right?
Is the plugin 4 gig?
Something like that. Not the plugin, the actual SDK, right, for Eclipse is pretty huge, right? Or sorry, for Android is pretty huge. So we're not going to do it today, right? But I recommend, if you're interested in doing Android development, that you get this part. You get the ADT, as well as install that, and as well as the Android SDK, right? And the Android SDK, it's a different piece of the pie, right? Just gonna go there for a second. And see how it says standalone SDK tools. This is where you want to go. And then from there, it tells you it gives you instructions on how to add in your SDK, which is download the SDK now. And when you do that, it'll take you to how to do that with either Mac, Windows, or Linux, right? So there's different ways of taking care of that and installing the SDK. And once you've got that running and rearing to go, then you'll be able to get your Android stuff going. But again, today we're not going to be doing that. Today all I wanted you to download and install E-Git. That's the first piece. Okay. Is your Eclipse running?
Yeah, it is. Does that look great? I
Yeah.
got it all downloaded.
Yeah, okay.
Am I gonna, if I am working off this computer, am I gonna have to do that every time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's why I recommend bring a laptop or work on a computer or run your Eclipse from your stick. Because you can also run Eclipse. Eclipse doesn't install like a regular Windows application. When you download, you can put Eclipse anywhere, and you can have as many versions of Eclipse installed on your system as you want. It doesn't install in a program directory. You can actually run it off a USB stick, not a problem. Okay, so if you customize or install things for Eclipse, I recommend you do it somewhere where you can always run it if you're running from the machine in front of you, right, as opposed to the laptop that hopefully you'll have a laptop you can bring in. There's one other option, by the way, for this morning's class and for what you're doing here. Let's say you don't have a laptop and you don't have, the computer in front of you doesn't really work that great, and so you don't want to use that, but you have a desktop at home, right? My recommendation is use TeamViewer to remotely control your machine. So you can always go to TeamViewer, and TeamViewer is a set of remote control software that can remotely control your machine. It pretty much tunnels through any firewall, right? Well, there you go, right? So you can tunnel into your computer at home, and you can use your computer at home as opposed to the computer in front of you, which works great. So if you have a Mac at home and you want to use that, or if you want to use your desktop or whatever, you're totally good to use it. You just have to tunnel in through TeamViewer or some other software. The problem with using something else like VNC, which is also possible, or many others, is sometimes they're not able to tunnel through the school's firewall, right? Whereas TeamViewer works nicely for now, until they cut it off, right? So this is what I recommend you use. Okay, so we've got the Eclipse, our Eclipse package downloaded and installed, and we've got our E-Git plugin installed as well. And now, just to remind you what to do, I'm going to go click here onto this little icon on the left, and you should have the same icon. If you don't, you can also go File, New, Java Project, right? You can do it that way. You can also do it this way by clicking on this little icon here, right? Java Project. And when you do that, it's going to pull up this project name, right? And this is where you put in your original project name. Like, for example, today's demo is going to be called COMP1011, right? And I'm going to call it Lesson 1, right? When I do that, Eclipse does a couple things for me right away. It gives me this source folder, right? SRC, that's what it is. And it also gives me this JRE system library. This is the Java runtime library. That's what this thing is, right? And I'm using my Java runtime library, if you notice, is using Java 1.8, which is compatible with Java 8. That's what it is, right? So that's the place we're going with this one. Now, if you get forgotten Java or how to use Java, that's the first piece we have to do. We have to kind of, create our project in Eclipse. Once our project is created, however, it's a hop, skip, and a jump from creating our first file, which would be our class. So I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to say new class, right? If I say new class, you can do it through here, by the way, or again, as long as I have this highlighted, I can go through here, right? New class. Either one is fine. So here's my new class. And inside here, it gives me other options. It says my source folder is this, SRC. I can name the package, right? If we keep it default, Who remembers what happens when we keep the package as default? And do you know what a package is anyway? Anybody? Well, you can define, yes, what's a package? What is a package in Java? Do you know? Nobody knows. Well, what a package is, think about a package as a directory structure. And the default package is actually quite ugly. It goes right into the main structure. But if I want to build a game or something like that, and I want to use something like Android, I need to define my package, an official package. Now, if you notice what it says here, it says content assist available with this little light bulb that comes on, and it says you can press, caret and space or control space. If I do that, right? Hold on a second. Bear with me, and I'll let you know how it works. Not that one either. Sorry, I'm running in a. Anyways, what it does, it tells you you can leave this thing as empty, or you should use reverse name, naming convention, which is reverse domain naming. So, for example, if my company name was georgiancollege.com, then I would go com.georgiancollege. Whatever the name of my application would be, right? So, for example, my application is lesson 1, then it would be something like this: com. Let's say I was going to call this Georgian, right? And then the name of my thing would be lesson 1, right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's typically what a package would look like, right? We're going to, however, before you start typing, I want you to leave this blank for now, because it's perfectly acceptable to leave this blank. Now, if you notice, the superclass that we're using is this javalang.object, right? Well, remember, the super object of all Java classes is called object. It's the object class. And every other class derives from that class. And that's why when I put this in, superclass as Java lang object, it means I'm inheriting all the properties and methods from the built-in object class. Right? That's what this means here. Okay? Also, I can also click down here where it says, which method stubs would you like to create? Right? I can click any of the method stubs I want, and it'll include them inside my class. Okay, let's cancel this and do it one more time. I want to show you this a couple times because some people are like, never done it before, and they've never done it with Eclipse before. So again, here I am. It asks me for the name of my project, which I'm going to type in. So again, I'm going to call it COMP1068. Sorry, COMP1011. I'll be okay. Lesson 1. Huh? I'm just showing you what I would do. This is the way I would do a project, right? So I would do that, move forward, and follow the prompts. Afterwards, if I want to add another class, I would go new class, right? And then from there, it takes you right into the name of the class, which you cannot leave empty. And the name of the class that we're going to be calling, we can call this whatever we want. We're going to call this lesson. We'll call this lesson 1, actually. How about that? And look what it says. The use of the default package is discouraged. So now if I go in here and I type in the default package as Georgian college.lesson, right? That's the new package, or I can call it core or whatever. Usually the name of the package matches the name of my class or my project. Okay? I want this public static void main to be in there because that's my main. I have to have at least one main method for my entire application. Okay, so I need to have that in there for this particular class because we're starting from scratch, right? I could also add the constructors from the superclass, but I don't need that right now, right? And I could also put in here inherited abstract methods, which I don't need either. We will be using these things though in the future when we build Android applications, as you'll see. Let's see if it does it for me. Okay, so here's my my package, take a look what it looks like when I do a package. com.georgiancollege.lesson1, right? And if you notice the structure, here's com.georgiancollege.lesson1, right? And here's lesson 1, which is my class, and here's my main method here. So again, a package, think about how this package is being stored. The package is a series of folders, right? So on the actual hard drive, it's stored like this. COM would be your high-level package, right? COM, that's the first level. Georgian College would be the second level. And then lesson 1 would be the third level. So there's actually 3 levels of folders. That's what this com.georgiancollege lesson 1 is. And that's all it is. It's a way of arranging your files so that way, if I have classes in a different package, a different folder, right? Then I would have to import them, right?
But if you put like, if you separate Georgian College, would it make 4 folders?
I could, yeah. I can make the package whatever you like, right? But that means if I add another one, so this is com, let's try this out, com.georgiancollege.lesson1. I'm going to add another class, right? So new class, right? Here's my class. And notice the package name is defaulted to lesson 1 because it wants to put my class in the same package. But I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to call this another, it's going to be another class. I'm going to call this package core, right? My class is going to be my core class, right? And instead of lesson 1, I'm going to call this core. I'm making this up, by the way.
So this is temporary, right?
Yes. I'm going to erase all this stuff. We're going to start over again a couple times, over and over again. Because I want you guys to understand how to do this stuff. So when we come down to more complex stuff, you're looking at it going, I get it, right? As opposed to, what did he just do? How did he get there? You know, I want to show it to you over and over again. Okay, so we're going to put this core in there, right? Because that's what the package name is. I'm not going to put a main class because I already have a main method. It's in my other package. I'm going to press finish. Now let's look what it does. I've got 2 packages, com.georgiancollege.core, com.georgiancollege.lesson1. In my com.georgiancollege.core package, I have my core Java package, and here's my core class, right? If I write something in this class, a method, and I want to access it from here, from my main method in my lesson 1 class, right? If I want to access it from here, I have to reference it, right? Because right now they're in 2 different packages. One is in core, the other one is in lesson 1. It's like looking at them in 2 separate folders. That's all they are, right? And we're going to need to do that. When we build our applications as we go forward, you're going to see that we're going to use different folders, different packages to house our applications. For now, though, what I want you to do is erase this freaking project altogether, right? Get rid of it. I just wanted to show you what it's like. So when we talk packages in the future, you're not a stranger to them, right? And we're going to start over again. I want you to start over because I want you to get used to creating a project over and over again. And I want you to see the problems of creating the same project in the same workspace because it doesn't erase it. Let's try it and show you what happens. So I don't want you to get, because Eclipse is a little funny this way, and I don't want you to get frustrated when we use Eclipse. Okay, I'm going to right click on COMP1011 and I'm going to press delete. See if you guys are there with me. Delete. And when I go to delete, it says, hey, are you sure you want to remove project COMP1011 lesson 01 from where the workspace? And if I say okay, here's my project location, users, Thomas, documents, workspace, blah, 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 right? If I click this one, delete project contents on disk, and this cannot be undone, it should erase everything, yeah? Let's see. So it's gone. Okay, I want to do it again now. So I'm going to create a new package. I'm going to create a new Java project. I'm doing it a different way this time. Same thing. Here we go. Right? Next. I'm going to call this comp. Hold on. Let's see if you guys get the error that I'm going to get. COMP1011 or 1011 lesson 1. Right? Do I get an error? No, because I deleted everything from the hard drive as well. If I didn't do that, it would still exist. The data files would still exist in the project and the workspace, and then it would say, you can't create this project because it's already been created. And sometimes it'll error out anyway, especially with Android. It won't allow it, even when you delete the files. Right? So be cognizant of that. Be careful. It's kind of a funny glitch. All right, now if I press OK or finish, it creates my project nicely. Okay, and we have nothing in there again. We have our source files, and here I'm going to create my first class again. And just on the in the same flavor as what we did this morning, let's create a player class. Okay, just because I like games and I don't like talking about automobiles and planes and accounts, which makes no sense to me, right? So let's make a player class. So here's my new class. In this particular case, I'm not going to name the package. Let's leave it in the default package for now to keep it simple, right? And we're going to change our name of the class to player with a capital P. Remember the conventions for classes. When we name classes, we're using upper camel case, which means everything is capitalized, right? When we use methods and when we declare variables, we use camel case or lower camel case, which means the first letter of the name for the variable is lowercase, and the second word is uppercase. That's called lower camel case or camel case. When we declare classes, it's all upper camel case. Just a convention we like to use. So when you see stuff in the book, that's how they should be written. So player is the way we write things, upper camel case. We're going to create a stub for this public static void main class with string arguments and press finish. And when we do that, it creates our stub. Okay, this is cool. This is our stub right here. This public void main. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this auto-generated method here, this public static void main, right? We'll talk about these publics and statics in a second. People are calling me like crazy. No, I'm working, but they like to call exactly the time I'm teaching. It's amazing. Let's avoid that call and continue. All right, so here's our player class. I want to give my player a property, right? Strength, like we did this morning. How do I do that? How do I declare a variable for my player class? Does anyone remember?
You gotta give it a type, give it a name.
Okay, so tell me what to type. So here I am. Do I type it here? Do I type it here? Do I type it here? Where do I go?
You can type it either before the main or you can type it
Within the main. What happens? What's the difference between typing it within the main and before the main?
Before the main, it has to be static, and within the main, I believe it's already static.
Okay, so let's do it in the main. So let's declare a property in the main. We'll call it strength, and we'll make it int. Type int. Here's my strength. And I'm going to automatically declare it as 10, a value of 10. It gives me an error or some kind of warning, right? It says multiple markers at this line. To do auto-generated method stub, the value of the local variable strength is not used. Okay, so it's a warning saying we haven't really used it for anything. Okay, so we've got the strength value there. I want to kind of print this thing out to the console. Does anyone remember how to do that? How about system? I'm going to start typing. System dot. Is it print or is it dot out? System dot out dot print line, right? And there's I'm getting an error. How come I'm getting an error, guys? Why? Why do I need the capital S for? Why, how come? Okay. So what does it mean? It's not just syntax. What does it mean? What does this dot separator stuff mean anyway, right? Remember, is system the class or is system the namespace? Who remembers? It's a namespace. System is the namespace. System is the package, right? So I'm going to go system dot out dot print line. If you notice, my code hinting here is not bad in Eclipse. And inside there, I'm going to say, let's do a hello world one, right? Hello world. That's a classic, right? And we'll save this thing. So I've saved system.out.println.
Question.
Yeah.
Can we not do this system that I'm like print without the line? Because it's giving me an error when I try to do this.
Shouldn't give you an
Not
error.
doing that, okay.
You got to give it a second, buddy.
Yeah, that was giving me an error.
And if I run it, I got to create a run configuration, right? Do you remember how to do this? So I have to kind of go down here, and it says no launch history. I'm going to run as a Java application. This is where it is for my testing. When I click onto it, if things go well, in the console down here, I should get hello world. Yeah? Who's got that with me? Okay. If you don't have that, there's an issue. All right? So what's happened? Let's review really quickly, just from a, we're using a new platform, Eclipse. Some people haven't used it before. Some people have used something else. And, we're running this code, and all I'm doing is I'm running this player class, right? Is the player class automatically instantiated? How does it work? I mean, it's Java, right? But how does this class stuff working, right? Well, remember how it works. This class, Java, right? When we run our code, it's actually creating a package and compiling the class itself. And this main method of this class, because everything in Java is object-oriented except for the properties, right? As soon as I run this, I create a run configuration for Java, it creates and compiles and creates an object, which is my final application, right? So everything inside the main method, right, is run automatically, right? Anything outside of the main method is not run automatically. Example of this would be, in my player class, this is a nice little class, doesn't do anything though. And I have a strength value, and I want to output the strength value. How do I link my strength value? Do I have to use interpolation to put it hello world and then player strength 10? How do I do that?
You just type in string or
Concatenation.
I have to use interpolation.
Concatenation. Plus sign.
The plus sign. So I go just like Java. Actually, JavaScript is very similar to this, right? I go plus, and then I say strength, right? And if I press Control and spacebar on the Mac, right, it should be the same, I think, for the PC. It'll give me code hinting to find what I'm looking for, right? Now I want to probably add a space in here because it'll be like right together. So if I save this, right, and then rerun it, then it should say hello world 10, right? Nice and simple. Simple output. I know this isn't exciting stuff, guys, but it's a little bit of a refresher to remind you how Eclipse works with Java. Otherwise, when we use Eclipse and make more challenging projects, and if you haven't done this step, we're going to get to there, and you're going to be like pulling your hair out, right? Okay. A little bit of a refresher. So public player class, right? It's also got this public, static, and void. What does the public stand for?
anyone to see it and edit.
Accessible slides.
I like your accessible. You almost said it. It's an access modifier, right? Remember that public, private, protected, all these ones, and internal, I think. Those are all the different ones. They're access modifiers. And what they do is they basically say where, what's the scope for this particular method, variable, class, what have you, right? In this particular case, when we say public, it means that it's available to our entire application within the same package, right? I have to kind of qualify that because you know what? It won't be the same outside this package. You have to access it in a different way. All right? So that's the first thing. What about the static? What does static mean?
Nothing is changing.
Nothing is changing. It means that too, but it also means that I don't have to create, when I have a public static, it's a static class, right? It means that I can access the static class without instantiating it. I don't have to instantiate it and create its own object. It's automatically available to us, right? And that's why this thing's able to run when I run the configuration, because it's a static class. If I created another class, right, that was outside of the static class and it wasn't static, right? If it was private or public, if it was a public class, let's say, I can't run it until I instantiate it. It means I have to create an object. Okay? Very, very simple stuff. Okay, so let's do that. Let's create a class within a class, almost like a subclass. Can I do that? Can I do like a class in here? All right, so let's define a class within this thing, and we're going to call it, we'll say class, if you're correct, right? And then we'll name it something. We'll call it the person class, right? And the person class is going to be defined inside here, inside this code block, right? Now, do I need a constructor for the person class? How do I make a constructor for the person class?
Public
What was that?
public person.
Public person.
Inside of the person class, I got to use the name of the person, the class itself, to create a constructor. Okay, makes sense? So if I go public person with a capital S, capital P, I mean, and I start listening for parameters, and if I do one of these, oops, is that enough? Is that a constructor for my person class? Okay. Inside my person class, if I have properties for my person class, can I define my person class to give them, let's say, a height with an int value? Hold on. How about a weight? Right? Because you know, he weighs. He's got height and weight. Right? Most people have height and weight. Right? And inside when I want to access my height and weight, do I have to use a keyword to access my height and weight? Because they're properties of the class. What keyword do I have to use? This. Is that true? Let's see. So if I go this dot height, right? I could though, right? This dot height is equal to 10. I could do that. And 10 whatever. And this dot weight, right, is equal to 20. Right? Isn't that not true? I could do that? Okay. What about if I have a method down here inside my class, and my method, how do I define my method? What keywords do I need? Come on, it's a refresher, guys. I need an access modifier, so it's going to be private if it's inside my class. I only want it accessible to my class. It's got to be private. What's the next keyword I need?
Depends on
It's a method. Huh? Return type, okay. So my return type is going to be void, because I don't want to return anything. Right? What's the next one? The method name. Okay, so my method name is going to be called walks. Now, so my person walks, right? So if he walks, or she walks, for the convention for the method, is it a capital here for the W, or is it a lowercase? It's lowercase, because the the convention for the method is lowercase, walks, right? And I got to use my braces again, right? So private void walks. Well, when I walk, it's a funny thing that happens to my weight. I lose weight when I walk, right? So when I walk, every time I call my walk function, I'm going to lose 10% of my weight. That's a lot. It's a huge amount, right? Because I'm a special type of person, right? Oh, if it only was true, right? But then we're going to make another one. When we eat, we gain 20% of our weight, right? Okay. How about that? So when we walk, how do I code that? How do I do it? So every time I want to call the walk method inside the person class, I want it to lose 10% of its value. How do I do that? Give me the code. Come on, guys. So say that again. Weight or this dot weight?
You could use either.
This dot weight. I'm going to use this dot weight and see if it works. Because if I go look, this dot weight in the person class, right? This dot weight, and then I want to do what? Times equals. So I can do that 0.9. Is that good enough? 10% of his weight? Would that be enough?
Yeah.
What am I saying? What does times equals mean anyway? Remember the shortcut? It's the same syntax, right? I'm taking myself, I'm saying this dot weight is equal to this dot weight times 0.9. That's what it is, right? It's a shortcut. This dot weight times equals 0.9. Okay, cool. And now, you know what I want to do? I want to print out that weight. So system.out.println, right? I'm going to say you lost weight, right? And the next line I want to say system.out.println, right? You weigh how much, right? Plus this dot weight, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Would that be correct syntax? My friends, it's the correct syntax in 20 languages, right? It's not any different. Whether you use weight or not, this or not. Why would I want to use the this keyword?
For that particular class.
Correct, but also because it's explicit.
Yeah.
I'm telling it this is the keyword I want to use. I want to use weight, and it's recommended in most cases when you're dealing with many properties. You want to understand which of the properties you're using. Yes.
I thought it makes a difference, but is it you weigh or your weight? Because either way,
You weigh, because no, you lost weight, but now you weigh whatever the weight is.
oh, you got weight.
Thank you. You weigh blah blah blah. Just me with my fat fingers. How about that? Okay, so the person walks. The person walks. What about the person eats? We're going to make that too. Man, these people are just nonstop. Right? We're going to say private, right, void eats. Right? He eats as well. Person walks, the person eats. And we're going to do the same thing. This dot weight, right, times equals to, right, if I want to say he gains 20%,
1.2.
1.20 or 1.2 is fine with me, right? Hold on, I'm going to have an issue. We're going to see what the issue is later on. System.out.println, you gain weight. Right, you gain weight, little game, right? And then system.out.println, you weigh, this looks very similar. This dot weight. What's the problem here? There is a problem, by the way. What could possibly cause me a problem with this simple, silly code that we're making? Anybody?
Oh, there's a.
You didn't call the method.
Okay, I didn't call it method. That's just a warning. I'm not using the method. Right? But what's the real potential problem that we have here? It's hidden. It's not giving me an error. Right? And this is where IntelliSense on the Microsoft side and other programs,
Both of them
they're a
are
little
the
more
same
expensive.
program, and this way will get confused.
They're very similar. Eats and walks are similar and almost exactly the same, which beggars to say, hey, wait a minute. This could be maybe an opportunity for us to create another method that's for both methods. A method that both methods share, right?
Yeah.
It could be an opportunity for us to reduce code because we have such similarities between both methods. Method 1, which is walks, method 2 with eat. Yes. What's the other problem? What's a real problem, though? It's a problem. Huh?
Like an actual error.
There is an error. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. First of all, if I run it like this, will anything happen?
You get an error.
I don't know if I'll get an error. Let's just run it and see what happens.
So, hello world.
Yeah. Right? Hello world, because you know what? I haven't instantiated the person class. Right? The person class has never been called. Right? So nothing really happens to it. So it's not going to give us an error here. However, if I'm inside this main class, its main method here of my player class, and I want to instantiate the person class, what do I do here? Well, first of all, I have to be able to create an object, right? So I've got my integers strength of 10, and I want to create another one. I want to create a new type of variable. Can I do this? If I can't, if it's not play, or sorry, person, Tom. Can I do that? Person Tom. What does this do, by the way? Have I instantiated anything here?
You're trying to assign a name to the.
Kind of haven't done that here.
You're saying,
Actually,
yeah,
go ahead.
you need to first go player. You need to first make a new player.
I don't have to first do it, right? But why would I want to declare, I'm declaring here, Tom as of type player, because remember, or sorry, person, because person is a new type I've defined. When I create a class, I'm actually declaring a new data type, with all of its methods and properties. Think of it that way, right? I could declare my own custom data type. My own custom data type is equal to person. Can I create a reference for Tom, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, hey, Tom is actually, we're going to use Tom as a person. We haven't defined it yet. We haven't instantiated it yet, right? But I'm telling you that we're going to use Tom as a person. Why would I want to do that here? As opposed to saying person or Tom is equal to new person right here on this line. I could do that here too, right? I could declare the person class. Follow me here, guys. Why would I want to do it here and then declare the Tom as a new person later on?
So you wouldn't need, yeah, not until you need him.
Not until I need it, number one. And the second reason is because if I ever want to instantiate him and kill him, right? Kill Tom, right? And put him back again, right? I can declare him, turn him on and off anytime I want. The way it is if I declare him at the beginning, he's on, right? And it might cause me problems later on. The other thing is that from a code hinting perspective, if I have another class instead of person called dog, and I want to say person Tom is equal to new dog, it should give me an error. That's the other reason. I want to have code hinting. That's why I'm doing this. So here inside under system.out.println, I'm going to say Tom is equal to new person. And because I didn't ask my person class to have a, I didn't have my person class inside of my constructor, which is right here. Here's my constructor, right? I didn't ask for anything to happen here, but I'm getting an error. What's the error that I'm getting? It says, no enclosing instance of type player is accessible. Must qualify the allocation with an enclosing instance of type player. Example, x.new where x is an instance of player.
So we need to declare player as a person?
Player is a different thing. Remember, player is this, right? Where am I declaring my new person class? I'm declaring it inside of my main, right? So I'm saying, hey, Tom, it's equal to my new person class, right? But it's giving me an error saying there's an issue because I've never defined my player class yet. I haven't actually instantiated my player class, the overall class, and therefore I'm having a problem with with declaring my person class. Person and player, what's the problem with those two names, by the way? It's confusing as hell, isn't it? Right? Person, player, they start with the same capital, right? P and P, person, player. This is a problem, and I want to point this out, right? How can I fix this? Well, I could, but how can I fix this? Well, if I click on here, can I fix this somehow? Well, yeah, but there's a quick fix, it says. Let's see what that says. It says rename in file, rename in workspace. Whoa, we don't want to do that. I want to rename in file. Huh?
It just says remove.
It says remove, okay. Let's rename it. Well, that's not going to fix it, right? If I make it static, that means it doesn't have to, I never have to instantiate my person class. Right? What was that? What if, here's the thing, what if I took this person class, just saying, right? If I took this person class and put it in another file, would that help me? It might, but that's not the issue here. So I want you to think about this problem. What is the problem? What's causing me not to be able to instantiate my class? Here's the other thing. What if I was to do this, like we thought about before, here? So I pull it in here now. So, instead of it being where it was, right, over here, I'm putting it here. Is there any difference that you see? Same problem, right? So I'm saying Tom is of type new person, and it's not working for me. It's not working because I can't assign Tom as a new person because it's giving me this error that says, hey, for whatever reason, buddy, you know what? Player is inaccessible, right? Instance of type player is accessible. Must qualify the allocation with enclosing instance of type player. An enclosing instance. That means because I'm inside type player and I'm declaring another class. Remember I asked you guys, can I do a class within the class? Is it possible? Am I allowed? What do I do to fix it?
So take the Tom person outside of the main class.
You mean on main? I'll take this and put it outside, like over here? Would that fix it?
It looks like it.
Why would this fix it?
Inside the class.
It's inside the class, but it's outside of my main constructor, right? Because really my main, if you think about it, is going to run every time I run my main class. I'm creating my Tom person here. And now, would it be good enough, could I do this? Now I haven't given an access modifier to Tom. Should I say public? Would that matter?
Private.
Private, okay, private.
Because we don't want to go in and change the name. We don't say we don't want to go in and change the name.
But what about if I want Tom to walk? You guys made these things private. How can I make Tom walk? Can I do that? Hold on a second. Tom dot, I've got nothing. Because you guys made them all private, right? In order for Tom to walk and eat, these got to be public. That's the first problem that I see. So now when I go to Tom, I go Tom dot, and I look for code hinting, I should see if everything works well, and I've declared Tom as the right way. If I save everything, and if I go down here after I've instantiated Tom, I should be able to pull some stuff, but I'm not getting anything, guys. What's going on? So this is the stuff that's going to happen to you. You're going to do this on your own. You're going to go, I'm going to pull my hair out, right? We're not C#, and we're not JavaScript. We're Java, and Java has its own silly protocol, right, and syntax. Okay, so obviously this isn't right, and this isn't right. Because look, it says here, it says, the value of the field player.tom is not used. Right? Well, I'm trying to use them, right? I'm trying to say tom.walks, right? But it's not letting me because tom.walks, even though this is private, public, right? And my person class is public, what about my class itself?
Should be static.
It should be what?
Static.
Static means I don't need to instantiate anything.
So that should be
It should be public.
If I make this public, right, so my class is public itself, will that make a difference? If I go down here, does that change my error?
No.
Nope. Because the error says, syntax error on token walks, identifier expected after this token. Because there is no method called walks right now, because the way we've set up our class and the way we're instantiating our object.
Do not follow.
I know. I know you don't follow it. And you know most people won't. And this is why we're doing a review. Because people don't get how Java works. They forget. They compare it. They confuse it with JavaScript. They confuse it with, JavaScript is very easy. C#. With C#, we told you this would work. In C#, you wouldn't use a class like this. It would be a namespace. The namespace would be player. And the class would be something else. Right? This would be a totally different situation. But because the class itself is a player, and we're making a class within a class, it's an inner class. Right? Inner class, bad. Right? That's what we talked about with Android, inner classes. And you can actually create anonymous inner classes too, which we don't want to do. All right, how do we fix this? Let's go back. This is why I wanted to pause here before we go to the next piece to say, because by the way, it's already 4. And I spent this first piece just getting into the feel of being in an Eclipse and trying some funny stuff with Java. Some things worked and some things didn't. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to think about it. And when you come back, I want you to give me the answer. I want you to think about, how can I make this work? I want you to look it up online. I want you to do whatever you have to do within 10 minutes to figure out the problem. Or you forget the problem already?
No, I was just going to ask you,
Yeah.
do you want us to leave it as an inner class? Or are
No.
we allowed to change it?
You can change it to whatever you want.
Okay.
I want you to make this work.
All right.
Right? So I'm going to